Hey everybody, it's Brant from In My Head. Welcome back, everybody watching the video. You know, if it's in my head, I'm going to make a video about it. And you probably recognize these two mugs on the screen with me. It's been a while, guys, and it's like homecoming right now. It's been so long since I've seen you guys' faces on my screen. And talk. Well, I see your faces on my screen all the time when you're making videos, but actually us on the screen at the same time. And even though this video is kind of a homecoming video because we're going to be talking about memories of Rosemont 2 years later.
Absolutely.
For those who don't know, me and this guy here beside me, this is Rob. Rob, go ahead and introduce yourself. I know you can't really tell.
Hi, my name's Rob. I used to do a podcast called Right Between the Eyes now.
It's on hiatus.
It's on hiatus. Rogue Record Music.
Yeah.
There you go.
Rogue Record. Yep. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to getting involved whenever you kick Rogue Records back up. I'm curious to get involved because my channel, I'm going to kind of start mixing in some 80s stuff. I've been doing a lot of videos with Carla, and I've been doing some videos over with the Critical Kiss guys. That's basically much a Kiss-centered project. But I want to start mixing in some of these 80s stuff. I'm a huge fan of 80s stuff. I grew up in the 80s and Guns N' Roses and a lot. Guns N' Roses is probably one of my top 3 favorite bands. And so along with Kiss. And so I want to start putting a little bit different ingredients into the mixture coming in 2026 for my podcast. And this gentleman down here.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Xander from the Kiss Army Things podcast. It is so good to see you guys. Like Brant said, it's been so long. So it's great to be here. And I can't believe it's been 2 years since we saw our last Kiss concert together. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I think what we did that night and what we were able to do was so fantastic. I love looking back at those pictures. And yeah, it's just great to be here 2 years later talking about it.
Ditto.
You know what I love doing? I love looking back at the pictures. I love looking back at our videos we were making leading up to it. The getting ready for Rosemont, because we did like a countdown. Literally, we did a countdown. And even like the week leading up to it, I was doing videos daily, just even little short videos. And remember, I forgot all about that. We were all worried because Paul got sick.
Right.
And they canceled some, and I've forgotten all about that Paul had gotten sick and that they canceled some dates. And we were scared to death that they were going to cancel ours. The plane tickets were already bought. The hotels were already paid for. And so for us, and so it was just like me and my friend Scott that came with me. And we were just so worried that, we weren't going to get to go. And of course, Paul got better and we got to see an amazing show. I was looking through some of the videos on my phone, and it's kind of funny because who would have thought 2 years later, just a little under 2 years later, Kiss would be back in Vegas, no makeup on.
Vegas, yeah.
I got that shirt.
They would be back and playing some pretty, playing a pretty cool set. The electric set was good, and then Tommy came out. I mean Bruce came out with Tommy. We didn't know if Eric was going to play or not, and then Eric ended up playing. I
would love to hear that story. Was that planned all along, or were the fans just mad enough that they're like, Eric, you have to do this?
I think they made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Probably.
Hopefully.
But either way, I've been watching. I've been living. I didn't go, but I've been living vicariously through some of my friends' videos and other people's videos. I'm going to have a person on my video that I actually met at the Ace show back in April. Rest in peace, Ace. I still haven't made a video because I still just haven't come to terms with it yet. I've still not made an Ace video about it, and it's coming up on a month now. Yeah. But she's going to be in a video with me. She actually went. I think she's actually still out there, just kind of living it up in some of the aftermath and everything. I think she went to a Raiders game and went to see a band last night. I can't remember who the name of the band was, but it was like a famous band. Went and saw a band. But anyway, so that's going to be coming up on my channel. I feel like I'm rambling because we got so much we want to talk about. We want to talk about basically just remembering Rosemont, remembering the time leading up to it, talk about what our experiences was, show some of our merch from it. I mean, you know, I've got my cup here that's got some confetti in it, and we all believe collected confetti. And Xander's got a really cool story about how he ended up in different seats.
I love that.
And I look back and I watch our video of us that we made in the hotel, because we all stayed in the same. Well, Rob wasn't in the same hotel, but we came back to the same hotel that me and Xander were in right after the show, which was just across the street, literally from the arena. And we were just you watch us in that video as me, you, and Jeb and the other guys, and we were just so psyched. We were just so pumped. It was like we were still glowing from the show. And I watched that video the other day, and that was just so cool. And I remember the behind the scenes stuff, us all trying to get our cameras set up, and cameras falling over, Xander tripping over cables, and
that look of like, oh no.
Happens every time I record. Don't worry, I'm used to it. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's the stuff that nobody sees. But thankfully, I think Rob had a B cam going. I think Brant may have even had. I think everybody had something going just to preserve the moment. But yeah, that was some good podcasting YouTube stuff right there. The road to Rosemont was really fun because, you know, it was obviously us getting psyched and getting hyped. But yeah, going back and watching those videos is a nice like time capsule, I guess.
Yeah,
because I think we did one every month for 6 months leading up to it, and you know we were all with Paul in his illness, we were all kind of wondering like, okay, well, do we still get together? Like, I mean, the hotel's booked, our tickets are bought, like we all planned on being there, so I guess if KISS doesn't play, I guess we'll still get together. Like we were still determined to make it work. But yeah, watching that video back is so great because we really did make that happen. We all coordinated that and made it happen. And, you know, going back and watching that, the last KISS concert review that we did together was just a brilliant idea, but it was a good way to use technology. There's a good way to use social media. Right. And we figured out the best way to use it, which is to bring the KISS Army together. Yeah.
Because the way I even got involved, I was, you know, I'd not seen KISS since the farewell tour. I never got to see the Tommy and Eric in makeup throughout all the shows that you guys did, and you know the Live 35 and all that stuff up through there. I never got to see any of that, and I remember that I wasn't planning on going. They started before COVID. And then COVID hit, and then it kind of sidetracked it a little bit, and then they started back up, and they kept adding legs and adding legs and adding legs. And we joked around that it was the never-ending road to end of the road tour, because it seemed like that. It seemed like they just were not going to stop, and you guys were, you know, grabbing up tickets as much as you could and going seeing the band as much as you could. And I was just kind of waiting in the wings trying to figure out. And there come a point in time where I was pretty much like, you know, I guess I've, you know, waited too late and I'm not going to go. I even bought my tickets for Rosemont, you know, and kind of late. And I remember you guys started talking about that Emily Graziano, she was there, that she was going to go and her mom was going to go and you guys were going to go. And then y'all started talking about going. And I was just like, so I asked my wife, I said, you want to go see KISS? And she's like, I could care less. I'm like, okay.
Seal of approval. Done.
I was like, okay. I was like, well, and she's like, take your friend Scott, you know, so we did. And I bought my tickets our tickets were crazy because they were straight on in front of Gene, but we were on the second level and we were 4 rows away from the very back of from the auditorium. The arena. And thank goodness to modern phones with incredible optical zooms on them these days. My camera footage looks like I'm a whole lot closer than I am.
Yeah, your footage looked really cool that I was like, is that where you said you were? Because it looks like you're a lot closer. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so we, but whenever that happened, where it was like, okay, they might not have a show, and you guys were like, well, do we want to just go anyway? And I was like, absolutely, because I was actually really going to see Kiss. Yes, that was the kind, but that to me, it was kind of like the secondary thing. I was going to finally meet you guys, hang out with you guys, and because we'd been doing this for a year or so at the very least, just being in each other's videos, knowing each other, talking on a very regular basis in our chats and stuff. And to me, that was just about the most important thing to me was going with my friend Scott and coming up there and seeing you guys. And we just happened to get to do it at a KISS show. So that was like, to me, that was the added bonus. And then I got there and had a whole lot better time than I thought I would. Yeah, it was awesome. And the whole, just what we had building up to that, those 6 months, like you said, Xander, it was amazingly like very communal, because I think we were even moving it around on each other's channels, and we were cross pollinating, cross promoting.
Yeah, that's probably a better word.
Yeah.
What am I?
That's the first one that popped in my head, actually, Rob. And I'm like, that's not right. That's not the right word. It's the other P word.
It is when Rob says it.
So, yeah, it was really just a good time. And I've been really thinking about it. It's funny because I've been trying to get back on the screen with Xander and Rob for a while. And then it kind of landed that we could do this. And Rob and Xander was like, let's do a Rosemont special. And I'm like, holy crap, that's in like 5 days from now. It's like the 27th.
27th.
So I was like, man, that's in like 5. So by the time this video hits, it will be right there at it. It'll be right at the 27th.
I think what spurred it, like I'm only saying what I'm drinking is this Twiggy's diet that I got in Amish country. It's grape, because I drank my last blood orange money bag soda that I got from Xander from seeing Gene in May. So I was on my way to band practice. I thought, I was like rationing those sodas that Xander had so lovingly gave me from going to see Gene. So it had been sitting in the fridge. This last one, I'm like, no, I'm waiting for an event. And I was thirsty, just grabbed it. So as I was finishing, I took a picture and sent it to Xander like, hey, thanks. And then your next text message was, hey, do you want to do a Rosemont thing? And I was like, I already drank this thing. That was the thing that I was, but had I not drank it, you probably would have reached out anyway. So it kind of made that taste like even better. So tonight in my mind, this grape soda is the.
There you go. I'm drinking money bag for all of us tonight. How about that?
Yeah. I remember you, whenever we were at the hotel, you're like, hey, money bags for everybody. We were all sitting around drinking.
That was so good.
Yeah. I brought a bunch of money bags for everybody. It was like, pass them out, boys. Here we go. I got like
I can't quite reach it, but I've still got the cardboard trays that you handed to all of us.
Okay.
There, and I've got my confetti bag. Maybe in a break I'll go grab some of that stuff. But
nice.
for mine, I've told the story before that becoming a KISS fan. Ironically, my KISS story starts on December 2nd, 1989, seeing Hot in the Shade for the first time. And ironically, some 30 plus years, KISS ends their touring on December 2nd, 2023. So that, that whole thing. So getting into 2019, I was always asking Mom, I want to go see KISS. I want to go see KISS. And she's like, no, I'm not going to buy my son to go see KISS. So when she saw the End of the Road tour, she's like, okay, I feel like as your mother, I owe you a KISS ticket, because if you don't ever get to see, knowing that I had seen them many times, and then the COVID hit and all that. But had COVID not become a thing, I would have gone to that show, loved it at Clarkston. It probably wouldn't have been raining cats and dogs like it was for that show that I saw. But I honestly do not think I would have ever met you guys. I think time would have gone by. Because of COVID and getting into comic books and meeting the Carusos and seeing Nico in a Dress to Kill t-shirt on the screen with like 50 other comic book collectors, not 50, but 15 other comic book collectors, and going, I bet that kid's a poser. I bet he can't name me one Kiss song other than Rock and Roll Night. And sending him a message. So while all this Batman talk is going on, we're having a side conversation of like, oh, I like Dress to Kill. I like Ladies Room. I like Room Service. And like all of this stuff, and going, we got to do a Kiss podcast. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And we both get asked a question and we're like, what? Oh yeah, that was a good Batman comic book. So anyway, like we kind of like mentally checked out of this podcast that we're on to talk about Kiss. And then, our channel starts, we find Brant's channel, we find Pasquale's, and then we find Xander's, like all this stuff. Like, this is a cool group of guys. And not in my wildest dreams did I think that one of these days I'm going to be able to call these guys that I see on these screens friends, like, oh, they're friends on the internet. And I'm probably never really going to text them in real life. And we could all pull out our phones, show, text messages back and forth. Hey, did you see this thing? Like, it went from being Kiss fans to being actual friends, and then standing in a room with one another and going, I can't believe we're all occupying the same space. Xander and I had gone to the Dayton show. So that was kind of like, hey, there's Xander and Daphne. I don't know whether to shake your hand, hug, or hide behind a curtain, And then by the time it gets to Rosemont, like we were all so primed for that. Like, let's do it. Let's hang out. Let's, some of us had done sound check. Some of us had a meal beforehand. And then that, as much as I loved the show, us being in our own green room or blue room or whatever we were calling it, just hanging out there, those are some of my favorite videos to watch. And seeing all of us recording stuff. There were a couple times I had my camera on and I'm just kind of holding it to just hold it. And I'm not really having somebody in the frame because I'm locking eyes with Jeb, or I'm having a conversation with Xander, or Nick and Nico and I looking at each other going, can you believe all of us are here? So I think that 6 months leading up to it, us all getting together at Rosemont made this the single best Kiss experience I've ever had. As much as my first Kiss concert is probably always going to be my favorite Kiss concert, my single greatest Kiss experience will always be November 27th, 2023, because everything about that day, except the cold, that was really stinking cold being outside for VIP. And I have a VIP story that I always keep saying, Xander, you need to edit this out. Oh, you need to edit this out. I'm far enough past it. I'm just going to go ahead and say you don't have to worry about editing out. But, I still look back at those moments, those still photos, and going, this is why I'm a Kiss fan. It's the fans, it's the Kiss army, it's the community, and Rosemont was just the icing on the cake. And December 2nd was what it was. The 27th to me was the final Kiss concert for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a picture. I might throw it up here, but one of my favorite pictures, of course, we had the big group shot that we took there at the end, kind of over to the side. We had our own little area that we were congregating in, and God, I can't remember all the people that were even there. It was, I know Emily and her mom and her mom's friend was there, and the one guy we went, what's his name?
Oh, Randall. Yeah, Randall came. Randall. Yeah,
starts with an R.
I saw a show with Randall. I saw a lot of shows with a lot of us in that group. That was cool. Anyway, sorry, Brant.
Yeah, but I love that picture. But one of my favorite pictures is the sound check, and just before the sound check started, we were down on the floor, and I took my camera, and I'm standing on the end of the aisle, and I pulled my camera out, and it was me, Scott, and everybody just all the way down, all of us down the row. And that sound check was just awesome. It was so cold, and they were coming out in their jackets, and you talked about, when you were filming, it's funny because I was filming too. And a lot of times you would pull your camera out and you'd go to film and you'd see another person that was in our group filming. And I had my big black jacket on with my thing pulled. And me and my friend Scott, we did not pack for that kind of cold. I mean, it gets cold, like me living in the mountains of North Carolina. It gets cold here. It was in the teens earlier this week at night. So it does get cold here. But I had not packed for that. That was not the jacket, or I wasn't dressed in layers or anything like that. So, but yeah, there's one time Rob's kind of filming and he pans over to me and I'm literally sitting there going, you see smoke coming out of my mouth. He's like, is it cold, Brant? I'm like,
if I could swear right now, my lips would move. I would tell you off.
Oh, it's funny.
So yeah. And and then here and Nick and Nico went and sat in the car with the heat, and they're like, "Let us know when the line starts moving."
I remember being in the car driving over there with them, and I was
they definitely were not dressed. They definitely were not dressed for the cold.
And I was
they're from Chicago. What are they doing?
And they said it wasn't supposed to be that cold. They said it was
and Nick
free.
said, "We're from Chicago. We're point A to point B. It's going to be cold for a minute, but we're going from the car to there." Well, we were outside almost 40 minutes, and Nick's like, "Okay, I'm from Chicago. This is stupid."
Yeah, that's funny, man.
Yep. You speaking about the sound check.
Oh, where's mine are somewhere.
But I pulled some of my memorabilia down because we also printed buttons and we were giving buttons out. So there's mine, and then there is the right between the eyes, and then I think and then Xander, you had is that the KISS? Yeah, KISS Army Things.
10th anniversary.
10th anniversary, and then you had your regular KISS Army Things that you were giving out. And you know me, I gotta be like Paul. My buttons gotta be bigger.
Larger than charge.
Okay, Paul.
But this was I hang this behind me, so whenever I'm filming, I've got it back there. And you had mentioned about the confetti. I was too far up. Confetti actually, only just a handful of confetti came up to where we were, and we managed to grab a couple slivers out of the air. But what I actually did was I went and picked up some down off the floor. But I keep mine in my little KISS cup here that somebody gifted me.
I'm gonna grab mine real quick because if we're showing confetti.
So I'm holding on to my camera. I for some reason decided we replaced TVs. So the 54-inch TV is actually my computer monitor. So I put my camera up on top of it. It's up here. So my confetti is actually behind, so you're gonna see some of the. So there's my Eric Singer head and the confetti, the Dayton pass and confetti and tickets, and then you can't see it, but the lanyard and confetti is in that KISS poster there.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
Nice. I've got my little jar right here. I went ahead and printed up some labels. So yeah, since we were down close in front, of course, the confetti rained down on us. I got my pockets full. They even got some of the
streamers.
But yeah, I printed up these labels: KISS confetti, Rosemont, Illinois. You can see, if I turn the camera, you can see it on the top of this shelf. There they all are. There's all the way across. And then that little itty bitty one right there is December 2nd. Rick sent me some confetti and a streamer from that last show. And I got a little homemade end of the road sticker there printed on top. So I put that little sticker on all the ones that were just in this last tour.
And there's my streamer and bag from the merch table. So I'm going to tell this.
Tell the merch table story.
I'm going to tell you the merch table story. So we were waiting for sound check and we were waiting to get in, waiting for sound check, and the line was so long. And then we thought, the merch table's right here. So I'm going to go to the merch table, get my stuff, get it out of the way, and no one was ready at all. So we're finally in. We're starting to hear like, hey, the merch table's open. So Scott and I look at each other, and I was like, I think I'm going to go to the merch table and just get it done and be over with it. So I go take off, and Scott's like, well, I'll follow you. So
I knew he would go if you went.
Yeah. So we both went down and we're talking, and the line's not moving there either. We're like 10th or 12th in line. So they've got 3 people checking us out. So I get this older lady. No offense to her whatsoever. So I'm trying to remember if I had the tour book and drum head. I had 2 things. I paid cash for one and charged the other two. So she's trying to ring me up. Things are just going off, beeping. And she's like, try it again. So finally she says, oh, okay, it's good. Because now we're hearing like, hey, they're starting to filter back in. I'm like, crap, I got to go run back down the hall. So I've said, we good? She's like, do you need a receipt? I said, nope, I'm good to go. And I take my stuff, put it in the bag. And Scott's got his stuff. He went to the next guy around the corner, and I got this other woman. So we're getting down there. We're enjoying stuff. We're saying, hey, what'd you get? Here's the drum head. Here's a tour book, blah, 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 whatever. So I decide, I want something to drink after this is over. So I'm keeping a mental tally of like, how much have I spent? And I'm like, I've got a banking app. I'll just check to see what I have. And I'm looking and going, man, that's a lot of money that I had set aside for this. That things probably haven't run through. Get through the show, get home. Wife's like, how much have you spent? I tell her the total. And she's like, I'm not seeing a charge. I'm like, what do you mean you're not seeing a charge? She's like, there's nothing there. So we're waiting and we're waiting. Week goes by, 2 weeks go by, a month goes by, a year goes by, 2 years go by. Guess what? I never got charged for the merch that I got at the stand.
Free's always better.
Now, I paid for half of it because I thought I've got half for this and I'm going to charge these two things. So I think I paid for the more expensive stuff for cash because that's what I had. And these other couple little things, I'm just going to charge those little trinkets, because one of them was the 4 buttons of the band. I thought, we all have buttons, so I want those buttons. So I think it was that and the drum head that I charged that to this day have still not.
That's so funny.
Gone.
And it makes you wonder how many others got some free merch.
Yeah, because
Rob, it's not stealing if you don't know you're doing it.
There was no part of me that was trying to get away with anything, because I kept thinking things were so chaotic. It's gonna catch up. But
because that whole thing going in, even though it's a great experience. So we waited outside for a very long time and it was freezing. Then we finally get inside and we're just standing. We just stand. Then we get a little further. You get your badge. They say, going around here, you're going around. And then it's just standing. And we're directly across from a merch table, and they do not have it together at all.
They just have boxes as tall as we are, just everywhere.
And we were
just standing there.
We were joking and laughing that there was 5 people standing behind that booth, and only one person was working. The rest of them were just kind of standing around with their hands on their hips, leaning on the counter. And this one lady was just casually stacking T-shirts and stuff. And we're like, you know what? It'd be great if that merch table was open, because literally it was like within 10 feet of us.
Because I think that would have given something for all of us to do there. Because that's, I think, the only experience, because Xander, you and I had done sound check in Dayton, and part of that is crowd free merch shopping.
Yeah.
So we could go, or there was a room for the sound checkers to go in and get merch. So we just thought, this hallway is where we're going to do that. So some of us, like you and I, Brant, had even said something to them. They're like, no. I'm like, what do you mean? No, there's like 220 people in here for sound check. And there's like, that's the whole point of it. Like, to do sound check and then go there so you're not dealing with 1,600 people trying to get merch. And it was literally, like I said, probably 20 minutes before they opened the doors for sound check, they started selling merch. So.
Yep. Yep. And then it felt like that the sound check started so late, and we still got a good full sound check. I felt like we got our money's worth. And then we were worried about whether we were going to have to leave, go back out, and then come back in with everybody. And they didn't make us do that. So we kind of went over in that little corner and was kind of hiding, like, maybe if we're over here, they won't see us. They'll leave us alone. And then we went in and me and Scott was at the back, and Xander, you and Rob were over. Y'all were to my right, over on the right side of the arena, kind of up. Y'all were kind of at a point of having to look at the stage, kind of like this. And Evan came out, his band came out and played really good, which him and Nick are getting ready to release an album, which I'm really looking forward to that. They've been blowing their social media up promoting this thing, so I'm really looking forward to that. So that's getting ready to come out any day now. I think it's like the first week of December or something. But we watched the band play, and then I want you to tell your story about how you ended up in different seats than where you started. For anybody, if anybody's not heard that story in a previous video.
You want to know about the ticket story, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I want to piggyback before you start the ticket story to say, like, the way you told me about it being on your show, like going to Rosemont, you're like, guess what? I'm going to Rosemont was a cool deal. And you saying that you were exactly, in the section right above us. If we were in the 100 lower section, you were in the 200 section. So it was kind of like a straight shot to be able to look up and go, hey, you guys are, kind of with us in a sense. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was one of the fun things. Was I know Rob had talked about with Nick and Nico about they were gonna, Rob was gonna go to their neck of the woods and have that RBTE kind of reunion or getting together there. And I was like, well, I kind of want to crash that, and I kind of want to join too. Jeb's up in Chicago, so maybe we could all get together with him. And so yeah, I did. I had Rob. I forget if it was one of our Eric Singer episodes that we usually do every year. And I was like, hey, by the way, you're going to Rosemont. Well, we're going to be in Rosemont too. And yes, I did intentionally get tickets that were pretty close, as close as I could to where you were. And then once we get there and got in the venue, and we bought the tickets very early, usually as we all do, you buy your ticket well in advance. And so at the time we had just purchased a bunch of other tickets. And so we were like, well, we might just have to, sit up top and we'll pay a little bit less, but at least we'll get in the building and we'll be there. Well, of course, by the time Rosemont rolls around, we're kind of like, oh man, we should be closer. We really want to be closer. Everybody's got a great view or at least close. And we're kind of way up here. And we had tried to talk to some of the folks that were in our area, and they just weren't the talking kind. They weren't the ones to kind of like hang out. There were a couple girls who were our age that I was trying to like show them those little, what do we call them? Paper? Yeah, the KISS spotlight that we did where you could shine the color of your favorite member. And they were like, yeah, we don't care, whatever. So I was like, all right, fine, whatever. And, nobody was really wanting to talk. And so we're kind of like, yeah, I mean, so for us, it would have been a great show, but we just would have been there kind of like, woo, no one was really wanting to be like, yeah. So we were like, man, this is kind of a bummer. And so we looked down and the last row of the entire floor section was completely empty. And I was like, are they reserving that for somebody, or like, has nobody really just purchased these seats? And so we went and looked at Ticketmaster, and hardly any of those last seats, which it still doesn't make any sense. It was almost too good to be true, but that entire last section of the floor was unfilled. And so we were like, we could go to the box office across the street and see if they have better tickets or if they'll upgrade us or whatever. And so we went to go to the box office, and we got lucky because we ran into the coolest security guard there. We said, he's like, hey, where you guys go? What are you doing? We're like, we're going to try and go across the street, see if we can't get better tickets. We don't like, we just want to see if we can upgrade our tickets. And he goes, well, if you're going to do that, you better A, hurry, because the show's going to start. And once the show starts, they're not letting anybody in. And B, you better come back to this door, because if you go anywhere else, no one's going to let you in. As soon as you're in, you're in. You don't want to leave and come back and risk not. So we were like, yeah, we'll do that, man. Thanks. And so we go across the street, and it was almost like that scene in Detroit Rock City where they run over to the door and they're like, please, man, you got to let us in. Except this time we actually had tickets and we just wanted better ones. And so the guy's like, yeah, cool, whatever. So he said, what do you guys want? We said, we want the last section in the front and dead center. And so he just printed us out 2 tickets. And I'll be honest, Jeb is the one who actually paid for that, because I was like, hey, bro, like I drove here by myself. I paid for my gas and my hotel room and all this. Like, could you help a brother out? He was like, yeah. So he was the one that took care of both those tickets. And so we ran back there across the street with 2 tickets for, instead of being way up in the nosebleeds, now we're down in the front, about 25th row, dead center in the middle. And it was just round to high fives. Tommy Summers from 3 Sides of the Coin was right there. taking photographs. Jeb's a huge fan of Three Sides. I mean, I am too. Jeb really is. And so he went over there, talked to Tommy. I went over there, we got pictures, and he gave us a couple special guitar picks. They're really awesome. They're End of the Road tour, but they're red logo as opposed to the golden logo. It was red, and it was pretty sweet. So, we got to see KISS 25th row, 20th row, whatever, dead center right there. You could feel the heat of the pyro. I'm sure probably, Rob, I'm sure we all probably could. It was, they burnt that place to the ground. Yeah.
All the way. That's one thing that blew my mind is, like I said, when I say that I'm up on that second level, 4 rows from the back, I'm not exaggerating. I turned around and counted 4 rows from the back. And when that pyro went off, we felt it all the way back. It's crazy.
Yeah, the band and they were firing off on all cylinders. I mean, I had just saw the show before that in Indianapolis with Daphne, and we were way up in the nosebleeds, had a really obstructed view, and so it was nice to be down there on the floor. And even though the Indianapolis show was incredible, it was still their first show back after Paul was sick, and so by Rosemont they had kind of shaken off all that. Not really like, in wrestling you would say ring rust, but like stage rust, whatever. Not that they had rusted or anything, but they hadn't played in a couple of weeks because of Paul's sickness. And, they had that nice show at Indianapolis, man. In Rosemont, they were on another level. It was better than New York City. Yeah. It was better. Like that show that we saw in Rosemont was better than what I saw on the pay-per-view in New York City. Maybe it was, they were in a different headspace. I'm sure, I know Gene was battling some pretty bad kidney stones and all that, but I'm just so glad that we got to witness what we did in Rosemont, because that was KISS in its purest form. You could even see the guys on stage being like, they were really glad to see the reaction that they had, because I'm not sure how much that place held. I don't think it was the biggest stadium or biggest place, but man, it was one of the loudest. That crowd was on another level.
Was deafening, in a good way. The audience sometimes was louder than what the PA was, which that was cool. Like sometimes at a concert, I'm like, can you turn up the band?
It up. Yes, absolutely. But there wasn't any of that in Rosemont. It was just an absolute great show. So I think as far as, we didn't get to see the last KISS show in New York, but we got to see our last KISS show in Rosemont, and what we got, I mean, no complaints at all. It was top tier show. And then, of course, getting to go back to the Holiday Inn, living in sin in the Holiday Inn, as we said, to do a literal round table. Just absolutely amazing. What's up, Rob?
No, I would say concert capacity is 18,000.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not bad.
I believe we were right close to that 1817. So I think they considered that show a sellout.
Okay.
Yeah. I wonder with that last row being available the way it is, I wonder if once they laid out the seats on the floor, they're like, hey, this is close to being a sellout. Not when I say they, I mean the promoter.
Right.
The promoter in the venue might have been like, hey, we got enough room here to put another row of seats.
Let's make a few grand.
Okay. Yeah, let's put another row of seats here. If we sell, we sell. If we don't, we don't. That's the only way, because that arena was so crowded. Mm-hmm. That's the only way that I think. And it being right there during the show, like the show's actually started. Not KISS not come on yet, but the show had actually, the opening band had already been on and left, and it was during that break. The tickets probably had to have come at a much reduced rate than what they were. You probably paid less than the people sitting in front of you. Literally probably did.
I'm trying to think what it was. I'm surprised I don't remember, but it may have only been like 125 each, where it would have been 350. It would have been probably double that originally.
I remember you telling me what the price was, and I'm like, because we paid $90 for our tickets. And like I said, we were just really just trying to get in the building. We were there to see the show, but what was really most important to me was the sound check and just spending time with you guys. I love the sound check even more because we were all there together. We could look over at each other and see each other jamming and singing along. And where, during the actual show, I was over here, you guys were over here, you guys were down here, so everybody was kind of spread out, but we were still there together. But I remember when you told me how, yeah, we got them for such and such. And I was like, we had to buy them, we had to buy a ticket. It's like buying tickets again, or whatever. And I was just like, man, y'all didn't pay much more for those than what I paid for mine. And I knew it was probably just because the show started. It's either sell it for something or it's not going to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they kind of the row ended up filling out nicely. It wasn't too packed to where we were like sardines, but over the course of the next 20, 30 minutes, there were people popping in. And so I don't know if somebody just thought, hey, let's just kind of go sit over here, or if, maybe people were buying those tickets or whatever. But by the end of the show, even the folks that were there, like close to Rock and Roll Night, some folks are, let's go beat traffic. Let's head out during Rock and Roll Night during the big encore. So the last little portion of the show, Jeb and I could just spread out and stretch our legs. And, there was a big balloon that came down during Rock and Roll All Night. And, we took that balloon and got it deflated and, was able to, it was kind of bumping into people because it was a big balloon, but I was able to, catch that balloon, kind of hold it and wrestle with it, get it deflated. I just ended up stabbing it and popping it, but, it worked. So, it was really cool being down there and just kind of having our own little space. It wasn't so, because we were up there sitting real crowded with people that just weren't there to rock out. But when we go to see KISS, we're there to fist pump. I'm throwing my head off my shoulders. I'm ready to, scream till I'm hoarse. I'm ready to give it up for my boys. So yeah, it felt better, more natural being down there. And I love that photo. I think, who did I do it for? Was it Rob or for Brant? Where
you did it for me.
I edited the photo where I highlight all of us and where we're at with the band on stage doing the final bow. That was just, what a great memory there.
I haven't done it yet. I'm behind, but I got this frame that photo you made. I want to do it here, the Carusos and I up here, and then all of us down here. So it's got dust on it, but I want to be able to hang this thing up and get it somewhere back on there and have that.
You should definitely do that.
Memory. And I even want to get that photo you made for us and get it in a much bigger thing and just plastered on the wall. That, to me, that's my merch of the show that I want.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff.
Yeah. You had talked about the band that night. They were on fire, and they had such a sense of gratitude towards that arena and towards the people in that arena. A couple times we talked about it in some previous episodes, but there was a point in time where Gene and Paul kind of just walked over and just kind of stood there and just kind of looked out over the crowd, like, almost like in the back of their minds, like, we did it.
We did this.
We did this. And, they were 3 shows. That was the third from the last show, right?
Yeah.
So they,
and
then 2 in New York.
So it's like they had to have started coming to realizations with that, at least on that level, in that way, that it really was the end. And I think they were just, as it got closer and closer. But like I said, I hands down, I believe that our show, not just because I was there, but I believe that our show was better than the New York shows.
Yeah, I agree.
I do too. Because like you said, Xander, I think they were in a headspace of going, okay, we've got to act like this. Let's walk over there and do this thing like we did in Rosemont. Not that they were faking it, but like trying to make it seem genuine, because this is the last thing, as opposed to it just being organically happen. And you could even see like Eric and Tommy, just kind of taking that in too. And we were close enough that Tommy's crane is like, if we could have reached out, we could have probably grabbed a hold of that thing and, traveled with it, because he was really stinking close to us.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rosemont, you mentioned about New York and the kind of like, not really the tension, but I feel like the crowd in New York was just waiting for something. They didn't know what they were waiting for, but they were wanting some kind of deep cut, some kind of mention of whatever. And so they were holding out for something. So it felt like, they weren't, again, in Rosemont for us, there was nothing on our mind other than we're seeing KISS. And so we were just able to just be there and let loose. And it felt like, if we were to have been there in New York, it would have been the same thing. We're just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. And as opposed to just letting ourselves be there in the moment. I felt like maybe that was with the band too, where it's like, okay, at the end of this show, we have to be in our poses so that when the smoke happens, we can get the cue for the video. What's everybody going to think about the video? Is that really the right thing to do? Well, it's what Pophouse says, not us, because we're selling the business, so it's like there was all this stuff probably going through their heads in New York. And so it makes me really glad that we were there in Rosemont just to experience what we got, which was really just a straight ahead KISS show, but it was one of the best straight ahead, just all out KISS shows ever. I mean, they left nothing behind. They decimated that stage and just left it all out there. And I mean, to the point where it was like we were wore out after the show. But we got to go back and set up and record and do all this stuff, but it was so worth it.
I remember being on that couch going, I don't know if I have energy.
I could sleep here,
to do a podcast show. But of course, that just came back, like you said, getting there. I remember Nick sitting down going, I don't know about you, but I just feel exhausted from the show. Like you said, the band left nothing on stage, and we poured out everything, like all the childhood dreams and fantasies we've had about this band, knowing, like, this sounds sappy, but I really believe it, that I left a piece of me at Rosemont. I left that 16-year-old kid that discovered KISS on December 2nd at Rosemont, going that the end of my favorite band. I'm not going to have another opportunity to go see this band. Even my wife is going, they're going to do a live show at some point. And I was like, they are never coming back to Toledo, Ohio ever again. And I even said, will they do something in Vegas? Probably. Will they do something in New York? Probably. But we're not going to drive to Dayton. We're not going to drive to Detroit. We're not going to drive to Indiana State Fair to go see KISS. That's never going to happen again. So I was trying to see as many shows as I possibly could on this tour, because I knew this might be my last one. Oh, I have an opportunity. Okay, this might be my last one. Oh,
always one more.
Always one more.
Yeah, because that show that we experienced, it'll never happen again on that level. Like what just happened in Vegas, it still wasn't that level. The acoustic show reminded me of a KISS cruise. Yep. And the electric show reminded me of some of the electric shows you see on a KISS cruise, or maybe even jacked up a little bit since they weren't inside of a cruise ship. It almost felt like a non-makeup era concert.
Yeah, felt like the Revenge era a little bit.
Like the Revenge era a little bit. Yeah. Very felt much like a Revenge era type. And that's why I've really been enjoying seeing those videos from, even though they didn't play the most diverse set list, I enjoyed it because it kind of reminded me of the last time I saw KISS without makeup in person was for the Revenge, which I really loved. And I think that that concert that we saw, whenever they were done, and they, like I said, they basically gave everything that they had, and we did too. I think the reason why it was a different experience than for New York is because the last two shows in New York, they were feeling that pressure. They were feeling the pressure of, these are the last two shows. Whereas Rosemont was the third from the last show. and we had already come. So I think they were a little more comfortable and a little more putting it out there. We had already come to accept that we weren't getting a deep cut. We weren't getting a change in the set list. They weren't going to do anything really special and spectacular that they hadn't done before in Rosemont.
Exactly.
Peter and Ace aren't going to show up.
Peter and Ace aren't going to walk out on the stage. Bruce ain't going to walk out on the stage. Vinnie Vincent's not going to get, drop down from the ceiling, to play a 15-minute long, to play a 15-minute long solo. So so we knew what we were getting and going into it. And I think that's why we just kind of soaked it up and enjoyed it. And I think why they did too, because they weren't feeling the pressure of the final show or the next to last show and all the hype that was going on in New York during that and all the publicity. And, they were having to do all that stuff too. This was just another show leading up to the final two shows. And to me, I was happy with that. And like I said, I was there once again. my initial thought was just to be there to be with you guys, and seeing Kiss again for the last time was just, it was almost like a secondary in the back of my head reason.
In the back of my head, not in my head, in the back of my head.
In the back of my head. So moving forward, because I know we got just a little bit of time left. Moving forward, what do you guys? So we'll have another year, and it'll be our third reunion removed. What are you guys looking forward to, or what do you guys what would you like to see happen in the next year? You know, we just got the Dress to Kill box set dropped and the Alive box set dropped, and some of the unreleased tracks on the Dress to Kill box set. I love the Mistake demo, so good with the slide guitar, and I love the version of Burning Up with Fever. Gene at the beginning of that,
That was awesome. I can't believe it didn't make it to the album. I cannot believe that didn't make it to the album. I mean, no offense, but like Two-Timer, Ladies in Waiting, they're so boring compared to Burning Up with Fever. It's like that just would have fit so well on the album, but hey, I'm glad we have it now. It's a great killer demo.
I loved hearing like all the banter during the recording. like whenever we record, they were the recording of Getaway with no vocals. And at the very beginning, you hear it sounds like Paul. He's like, no more bloomers, or bloopers or whatever. And then somebody's talking about a feel, and he's like, I'll give you a feel, shut up. Or something. And I'm sitting here going, that's so cool, because they're just in the studio talking, and then some of the stuff we've heard. Well, I haven't actually got to listen to the Alive yet streaming.
Right.
And I'm on the fence about purchasing. I'm probably don't want to say it too loud. I'm probably going to purchase these box sets. It's probably going to have to wait till after Christmas though, January, February, because it's $800. But I want to get the vinyl. It'll be $800 for that.
Yeah.
You know, I have not. I'll say it this way. This is still sealed. I have not. I have not listened to a single note off of this. Really? I've not listened to Alive. I've not listened to Dress to Kill. I don't know. This is maybe on a quick tangent as we're trying to end the show here. I think my show, Right Between the Eyes, is a three fans that are almost brokenhearted. Like we don't know what to do with the band that we've put so much time, so much focus on it. And then all of our lives got really busy and really complicated. So I didn't want to do the show without them, and I wanted to listen to all of this stuff. So I almost stopped listening to Kiss, and then I stopped watching my friend's Kiss podcast because I felt disconnected from the group, from the band, from everything. So I almost kind of went into hiding, like going, I'm starting this weird journey without my two brothers because of life, and like how there was so much time put into this of going, I don't know if I can purchase Kiss stuff. Like, this is the first time I've wore a Kiss shirt and probably since Rosemont or being on somebody else's show. It's like seeing Gene with you back in May was a nice little breath of fresh air. But I feel like I'm constantly trying to recreate this thing. So I don't know what I want from the band, because in my mind, it's over, you know, they're done. Now I'm just picking up stuff to pick up stuff. And I don't know. I don't even know why I said that, but that's kind of where my mindset is. I do want to pop this thing, and I do want to listen to it. And, you know, I've been spending a lot of time and money buying other bands stuff, and have seen Dream Theater 3 times this year. And, you know, it's just, I'm in a weird space with Kiss. I don't know what I want, because I don't know what I need from this band. And knowing that Kiss ended and my podcast is in a weird hiatus, it's like, I've got to pick up these pieces and find a way to move on and put Kiss on a shelf and go, Rosemont was the pinnacle of my Kiss fandom, and I don't think that I don't expect it to ever be recreated. So anything else that they can put out is just like it's I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is me being on the couch talking to my 2 Kiss therapists going, I need to start watching your guys' show again, get back into this band. So yeah. On this podcast, Rob got broken.
Well, you know that we're always here for you, man. You know, I'm always just a text away. A phone call away. 3 a.m, dude. Like that Bon Jovi song says, "Blood on blood." If I got that call in the middle of the night, we're here.
I didn't mean to take the podcast down that way, but that's just. I think just from being a fan, that's just something to go. My child, like, it sounds weird being 51 years old, like my childhood ended. I don't know what to do with my toys now.
You have no idea. I had my phone out a little bit ago because you're talking about all these people that we chat and we chat with people. And I had my phone out because I was just going to kind of, not in great detail, but I was just going to kind of do like this and be like, these are Kiss conversations with Kiss fans, people that watch my show, people that watch your shows, people that watch our shows together and stuff. These are conversations about Kiss or about something, my opinion on something. Hey, you talked about this in your video, or what what do you think about this or something? And you should not do not feel alone in the way that you feel, because there are a lot of Kiss fans out there that held on. The band being around was what they had to hold on to. Mm-hmm. And now even more within the last month, I know this for a fact. I've had conversations with people for a fact. The OG Kiss fans, nothing against you guys, but the OG Kiss fans that are like my age, maybe a little younger and definitely a little older, now that one of the unthinkable that we talked about one day would happen, that one of the original 4 is now gone and we have 3 left. And now, and he passed, and there's never a good time to pass, but he passed before he got the chance to get honored at the Kennedy Honors. Yeah. And I love what Gene and Paul, that Ace got some, there was a special show for Ace during the Vegas, Ace's band was there, and what's his name? Steve Brown was there. And Ace was in the middle of recording an album when he was in his studio when he fell. So now we're wondering, is that material ever going to see the light of day? But for us OGs, we have now realized and come to the very harsh realization that there will never be a surprise Kiss reunion, OG Kiss, never. It's not going to happen. It can't happen now. It's impossible. And so a lot of people are really, it's affected a lot of people in they're like, oh my gosh, my childhood is dead. My childhood died. My guy that I've been watching since I was 7 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old. I've heard people as young as 3 years old. I was like, man, my hero is gone. And even though they followed him in his solo career and stuff, and he was still around putting stuff, there's something about those 4 original guys, And so Ace was good on his own. He was better in Kiss. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just something about it. And I've been in bands before with guys. It's like you have a brotherhood between the 4 of you, and there is unspoken language between the 4 of you that makes you a cohesive one person, one thing. And dude, don't feel alone in what you felt. I think with me, that's why I think that I really haven't even, when it comes to Ace, I've not even really dealt with it yet. Now I'm on the couch, Rob. Thanks.
I turned my camera on for right between the eyes, and I had no idea what I was even going to say. Like, this is going to be the dumbest video. I'm going to sound like an idiot. And watching back at it, I'm like, that was raw. That was my emotion in that moment. So maybe that's where kind of some of this healing is starting. Like, nothing is going to last forever. And you start thinking of things like, wow, my parents are the age of those guys. And I start going, okay, Rob's going to get back on the couch again. So we got to turn this corner.
Yeah. And coming from somebody who's lost both of his parents, I lost my mom 5 years ago and my dad 2 years ago. So I'm sitting here going, I'm older than my dad was when I remember my dad being old. Because I remember one day I looked at my dad and I'm like, man, my dad's old. And my dad was probably in about his mid 50s whenever I looked at my dad. Like, oh, you're old. So yeah, it's tough thinking about mortality and stuff like that. Yeah. But Xander, what about you? I know that I did want to mention this because I do want to mention this in my on video on my channel that kudos to you for KISS Museum. Oh. That you're doing the
KISS work.
You're doing the KISS work. And
I have something to say about that. So being with Xander in May to see Gene, and Xander's like, hey, you want to see the drum set that he's got and the Eric Singer poster that I had for him? So he takes me into the garage. So I think you had gone and come back, and I'm kind of staying in the garage, just kind of looking around. I'm like, man, that's a lot of KISS guitar straps. I wonder why he has that. And then you'd come back in and I was like, he collects KISS stuff. I'll ask him in a little bit where there's all this talk on Gene. So we're having we're talking about Gene. We're driving down the road. I think were we in Taco Bell or
McDonald's?
We were in McDonald's. You give me this look and you're like, okay, I have to tell you something. He told me in May and I was like, are you serious? Like, really? So I'm putting in my head, I'm like, all that stuff in the holy crap. So that was I felt like I had the world's biggest secret. So thanks for letting me keep part of that. So I kept thinking that whole Gene show, I don't know of a better person that the KISS Museum could be in the hands of at Xander. That is the most perfect person to take that over. So dude, my hat has been off to you since that day. So congratulations, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys. Yeah. I appreciate it.
I love that you're taking collections of people that they're ready to part with them, or something's happened to the person that had them. I've told my wife, I'm like, if anything ever happens to me and I go before you, here's a card.
I told my wife the exact same thing.
Here's a card. Only one call this guy and let him know that to come to North Carolina and pick this stuff up.
Yeah. And he'll give you a good deal.
Yeah. And he'd take care of you. He would That's know right. He would know what's what, and he would know what's good. You wouldn't have to worry about knowing what the values of stuff is. He knows enough to know what's what, and he'd give you a good deal on it, and you wouldn't have to piece it out. Because she's like, you should put stuff on here about what stuff's worth. And I said, honey, that fluctuates and changes with the market and stuff. And she's like, are you kidding? And I'm like, no, I'm serious. It does. Yeah. It does. It fluctuates like oil prices and gas prices. It fluctuates and changes. And I'm like, and I wouldn't want you to have to worry about all that stuff. Just call him and tell him to come and pick it up. He'll write you a check.
That's right. That's what we do. Yep.
Yep. So, but I myself have been shopping, and we were talking earlier. You had a trash can, and I almost bid on it. And there's been a bunch of stuff that not bid on it, because you don't do that. You just put your prices out there, and like I said, dude, doing a great job, you're beating eBay up. And you're doing great. You're doing great work, and you're very fair. And I know that Rick's been picking up a bunch of stuff from you, and and my time's coming. When it comes to me with 2026, really quick, and I want to get Xander. I want you to talk about it real quick before we have to go. And I know I don't want to keep you too much longer. Is with me, I'm still on the fence about what I'm going to do with the box sets. I really am. And I'm definitely not doing anything, but I know me and Rick were talking one day, and he's like, I'm done buying new stuff. He goes, I could care less to buy anything off KISS Online unless they come out with something. And he went asterisk, unless, and that's how it always is. Yeah. There's always an asterisk and an unless they put out something, because, he loves Dynasty and he loves Hot in the Shade. So if they do something really cool with Dynasty or do something Hot in the Shade, you can never say never. Right. But me, I'm just kind of like, well, I'm a little bit of a completist. So I've got the first 2 box sets. Why not have the other 2 box sets? Well, or why not take that $800 and buy me a KISS trash can and maybe a Colorforms kit and maybe some posters or some notebooks, the vintage stuff that I had when I was little that's more like the stuff that I've got behind me. My collection behind me is way more vintage than it is recent. So I don't know. I know that I'm not jumping out right now to do anything, but I'm kind of leaning in that direction. Because the box sets I have behind me, I think I've actually had them opened up and pulled everything out and looked over it and just analyzed and every little bit of it twice since I've had both of them. So for the most part, they're just sitting on a shelf behind me. So I would probably rather, buy some vintage stuff that I had when I was a kid. Have me a little KISS trash can here and have me some stuff. And then Xander, I'll probably pass away before you do. So it'll come back. It'll come back. It'll come back to you.
I can sell this twice.
I can sell it twice. Sometimes I wonder that. Sometimes I actually wonder when I get a piece of KISS material, a piece of KISS merch that's old. It's like, how many people has this belonged to?
I would love to hear the story. Like, this has passed through X number of hands. So-and-so had this, how close am I to somebody? Did somebody in Dayton, Ohio have this thing that I bought?
Yeah. Like this Ace doll was bought by Tommy Jones's mother, at a Kmart in Indianapolis, Indiana. And he played with it until such and such bought it for his collection, whatever. It was sold at a yard sale to so-and-so. Show
me the Carfax.
Yeah,
show me the Carfax.
Show me the KISS facts.
Show me the KISS facts. That's hilarious. It's funny that you mentioned that. That's one of the cool things about doing what I do is that just for instance, real quick, we went and picked up a collection from a guy in Chicago who had been collecting for about 35 years since he was a kid and was downsizing, and so he was selling off his entire collection, and it was all, there was some like Spencer stuff, some 90s stuff, but it was all just vintage stuff. And one of the things he had was his KISS Army membership card. And from the KISS Army kits, the little itty bitty silver foil card, and he had filled his out. So it had his name. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to put this up on KISS Museum just for like, $10, whatever. And somebody can have it. And Rick was the one who got it.
That's cool. That's cool.
And he's putting it in his kit.
It was the most Rick thing to do because he's got the guy and it has his name on it. And so he posted, was like, hey, whoever this person, hope you're doing okay, doing well. And I just found this guy did his own fanzine back in the 90s. And nobody really picked up on it. He mostly just photocopied stuff himself and wrote concert reviews. And so I've got almost every issue of his fanzine in there. And I'm like, and he was telling me about it. Like, yeah, I did a fanzine in the 90s and I was sent it to a couple of people, but it really didn't take off. And I'm like, this is insane, man. Cause he's got it's like staples where it's like pages and pages of stuff and it's just like he did that in the 90s before you had access to Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, and all that stuff. He was Xeroxing stuff, copying stuff, and I was like, it's just so cool. So to have his personal history with me, but also to pass some of that along to a fan like Rick, it's a dream come true. It's the perfect gig. And you always come across some crazy stuff. I'm thinking about. You know what? I'm going to show something just for you guys.
I love this.
So
part of the show.
Yeah. So it's really hard not to be like, I could just put this back in my collection because I get first pick at all the good stuff. So I have to, this isn't mine. I'm a foster parent. It goes to someone else. But every now and again, when a unique item comes up, I will get a hold of that. And so somebody had, the bed sheets from the 70s and the curtain set. Well, somebody had taken that material and made a pillow. So rather than throwing it away and getting rid of it, they repurposed that vintage KISS blanket. It feels like a curtain, honestly. It's a very maybe it's the comforter, I'm not sure, but they made it into a pillow.
That's cool.
Sold it at a KISS convention in the 90s. And then that guy I was talking about, Chicago, he bought it and picked it up. So I was like, you know what? That's a really cool item. Maybe somebody would want it, but it's not like official merch. So I think I'm going to put this back and keep this for myself. So what a very unique, cool item, cool. And a great way to preserve some vintage KISS merch.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Xander, real quick, what about you? 2026.
Yeah. So the thing that stood out to me the most during the Vegas thing was when somebody asked the same old question, hey, Paul, do you guys think you'll do new music? Paul said, new KISS music? That's not possible. That's probable. And I said, what? He said, yeah, I don't usually write unless there's a project. And I've been writing. And I'm going, oh my gosh, to even think that we could get a new song, even a single, if it's a new album, I mean, hey, let's go, right? But the fact that after all this time, they said there really isn't a reason for us to put out new music and to write, and for them to think, you know what, there might be a reason, there might be a purpose. The fact that Paul's been writing, and the fact that Paul was open to, Gene can talk all he wants and he'll say whatever, whenever, however, but Paul is usually very particular with what he says and how he says it. And the fact that he was like, yeah, that's pretty probable. And the fact that he was open to that just makes me so excited, because I felt like they left off on such a high point with Monster, and they did Samurai Sun, which was cool for the Japanese market, but I would just love to see new KISS music, a new KISS single in 2026.
Even if it is something as simple as Pophouse would say, we want to put out a greatest hits album and we want 2 tracks. We want a Gene track and a Paul track.
Yeah, if it's simple as that, part 2, let's do that.
I would flock to wherever to buy that.
I'll get the vinyl, I'll get the CD, I'll get the variant, I'll get the cover variant, I'll get the digipack, I'll get the 3D cover. It'd be like Monster all over again. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
When Paul said that, because I agree with what you said earlier, Rob, about these last couple of years, and I would recommend you watch tomorrow's episode, because the episode that we filmed today, Daphne and I even talked about these last couple of years have been like us trying to figure out what we're doing, what they're doing, where we at as fans. We're in limbo. And now we're starting to see with, them talking about, well, first of all, Vegas, the fact that they're together, they're playing, they're performing, they're doing events, official events, they're getting back out there. They're wanting to do the documentary for the End of the Road tour. We got an Avatar update. They might even do new music. Like, hearing that from the Vegas event was like just a shot full of adrenaline. It just put something back into me as a fan. And so to hear that there might actually be some new KISS music, that's the thing that I want the most, is a new song.
What if the new KISS music is for the Avatar show?
That would probably make sense. That would probably make sense. And that could work. And I think that would be really cool. But
it'd be cool if they did what you said, though. If Pophouse does a greatest hits and slaps a couple new tracks
or
on
you
it.
Put out a companion with that, the new KISS
like
experience.
Sonic Boom.
Yes.
Right. There was the KISS Classic, but there's just so much they could do. And the fact that they're even toying with that idea, and the fact that they were even open to admitting that they were writing for not possible, probable new music, that had my heart pounding. And I still, again, we talked about it on today's show, along with a few other things, but Rob, I feel you. I've been in that funk too. I would recommend watching our episode tomorrow. I think you're going to dig it. I think you'll dig it.
You just sucked me right back in.
Well, here's one thing I think. So back when when Paul was in that mindset of there's no point to make new music, a lot of times this was prior to the brand being sold. Mm-hmm. This was prior to Gene and Paul just being consultants or being contributors rather than being KISS was on them. So they have less of a what's the word I'm looking for? They have less liability now, because it could just be as simply as Pophouse putting a contract in front of them and saying, okay, we want you guys to write music for this project. We're going to pay you X amount of dollars, and percentages. You're not going to lose money off of this. If anybody loses money off of this, it will be
us.
It would be us.
They're not out anything. If they're out like, hey, I'm out of The only thing I'm out of is my time because this thing didn't sell. Oh well, but I'm not
Pophouse
out
can make
any
that
money.
money back. Yeah,
Right, exactly.
Right, because Pophouse is going to make the money back because Pophouse, they just don't have all their eggs in the KISS basket. They're diverse. They have a diverse portfolio, and KISS is just part of that portfolio. And so with KISS, it wouldn't be a huge liability for Pophouse, so they could do it, and it wouldn't be a liability for KISS, especially if Gene or Paul and Tommy and Eric are getting paid regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
So then you do that, you talk those kinds of numbers to Gene and Paul. I think that would sway Paul and Gene to go, well, yeah, we'll write and record some tunes for you.
Yeah.
You pay for the recording time. You pay for you pay us to write the songs and whatever and write a contract up and whatever projects you got going on. Yeah, we'll do that.
And that sounds honestly like the old days where, like, again, it was Neil's money and it was Bill running the show, and KISS just showed up, recorded and performed and, did that thing. But after a while, they were producing their own records and I think they even self-managed for a while in the 80s. And then, we all know, the last couple records were self-produced and everything was in-house. And so it's almost like with Pophouse, they have somebody there with, as it were, endless money, because Hot in the Shade, we got a bunch of demos because there was no money. They sold their catalog in 89 because they needed the money. It's like now it's almost like money isn't an issue because Pophouse, like you said, is so diversified. They're so smart. They're so beyond just guitars and drums that, they could do a new KISS project. And it's okay if it's not the next double platinum selling album. It's like, it's just for the fans who want it. It's for a particular project. And that to me just... Again, I'm so excited for that.
Right. The genius of what they've done, it's like the Vegas thing. They were contracted to come to that. They were paid to show up to that. They were paid to perform to that. If the thing lost money or not, didn't matter. I mean, I think their egos wanted it to be full.
Sure.
Their egos wanted it to be full. So I can't say that if it didn't sell out or do good, it don't matter to them, because I think it would matter to their heart.
Right.
That, wow, we can't even sell out an event anymore. But it didn't matter to their wallets because they were going to get paid whether anybody showed up or not.
That's true.
And that's the thing. That's the thing about it. And so now with this, it's like, okay, we write some new music for whatever project it is. This ain't coming out of our pocket. We're getting paid whether this happens or not. So that opens up a lot of possibilities for a lot of things coming from them that all Pophouse has to do is just come up with a project or them work with Pophouse on a project. And then Pophouse is like, you do this, we're going to give you X amount of money, and them negotiate whether they're going to do it or not. And then it just opens up a bunch of room for us to start dreaming and speculating again. Like, oh, if they do new music, wouldn't it be cool if they went back to Electric Lady and recorded with Eddie Kramer? Wouldn't that be real cool if they did that? So it gives us an opportunity. It sparks us up again and makes us start dreaming.
That's the way I feel.
Brant, I'm going to quote Hawkeye from Avengers Endgame. Don't give me hope.
Don't give me hope. Don't give me hope.
Right, because now this is KISS. They could all
right.
I'm full of hope right now. I'm full of excitement.
Then every KISS fan's like, oh, they did it for that. Nah, another Scooby-Doo thing. No.
Yeah, right. But,
and Rosemont was great. Yeah, Rosemont was cool. But we got on a tangent about that. But no.
Oh, yeah.
But the future's bright, man. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I am too. Well, I appreciate you guys let's not take another year to be on a screen together. Let's I'd love for you guys. You guys are always welcome on my channel. And I'm always willing to jump in with you guys too. Rob, if you want to make with your road records, you want to talk about something, we can talk about something.
Yeah.
If you want, I know that you kind of try to save the KISS content with your other guys and with your other, with Nick and Nico, and I'm fine with that too. But I'm willing to share a screen with you guys anytime.
I don't know if you were getting into plugs or if I'm pulling the show. RBTE is in a weird hiatus, just life and things like that. But I think Rogue record music is what is going to be prominent for me in 2024. I'm opening the door. Like I've got the new Creed greatest hits there and Stryper's new Christmas album. And I want to talk about things vast, and I will probably fold in the KISS content into that. And if it winds up on Right Between the Eyes, or I'm pulling lifting the, I'm not going to talk about anything. If you want me on to talk about Dynasty, then let's do it. I probably won't do much with RBTE without the Carusos. So if that goes away, that's fine. But I will go anywhere to talk about anything with KISS. And I'm on Pasquale's panel, rotating guests kind of regularly. So that's kind of giving my KISS fix. So just say the word and I'm there. I'll talk about it.
Yeah. I've still got some albums I want to talk about. What would I do to fix them? Yeah. Even if it's, and I've kind of put that project on hold because I did an episode on that with Xander. I did an episode with you on that. Mm-hmm. And so I love talking about that. Just gives us another reason to talk about KISS. It just gives us another reason. It's like, hey, we've talked about this album before, but what if this album is different? What if, so, so yeah, I'm always ready. Xander, and give your plugs there.
Yeah, I was going to say, the thing I'm plugging right now is our KISS Army Homecoming event in Columbus, Indiana. So, cool. The KISS Army 50th anniversary, we're going to be celebrating that in Columbus, Indiana. We're going to be having Bill Starkey as our special guest. He's putting together a special presentation. He's going to be answering fans, taking photos, and just hanging out throughout the day. Andrew Scambauti just released an amazing fan film from Tokyo to You. Did a screening over in his neck of the woods. I said, bring that on tour over here, man. Let's screen that out here. I've got a few more things up my sleeve that I can't announce just yet. But all I want for fans to know is that on Saturday, December 13th in Columbus, Indiana, we're having basically a mini KISS Expo. It's the first KISS fan event in Indiana in over 5 years. The expos never returned. There haven't been any conventions or expos other than Creatures Fest. And of course, the Vegas event. There hasn't really been anything happening. And so Indiana used to be the hub of KISS events. And so we only get 150th. And so I want fans to be able to have some space to hang out, to get together, celebrate 50 years of the KISS Army. And so if you're interested, go to our Eventbrite page, just search KISS Army Homecoming. It's the only KISS event that you'll find because we're the only ones that's celebrating. I mean, there was the one in Cadillac and there was the one in Vegas, but it just makes sense to have one here as well in the home state. So yeah, Bill Starkey has agreed to come down. I got Steve from KISS Army Warehouse coming down to help set up some merch tables. I've got KISS Museum, and it's just going to be a day full of KISS fan fun. So tickets are limited, but you can still get them on Eventbrite. We're doing 2-for-1 deals. So if you want to bring a friend, you can get their ticket for free. It's going to be a day full of fun. So yeah, if you're interested, come check out the KISS Army Homecoming 50th anniversary fan event in Columbus, Indiana.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And definitely check out KISS Army things and check out the KISS Museum.
Yes.
Both those are Xander's as well. And appreciate you guys so much. Like I said, I love just talking with you guys and being on the screen with you guys again after so long. It's just amazing.
It's been great.
That's all we got for this one. We will see you collectively or somehow together or on our own podcasts soon, but we're hoping to do this again next year. Let's go ahead and talk about it in 3 years. Let's talk about what's happened since and talk about, just keep that nostalgia and that memory of what we experienced a couple years ago, keep that alive. Yep. So we'll see all of you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.
I've got both of my tour books from the show.
You got your both? I've just got this one.
I love that. That is still my favorite end of the road image of all the ones that they've done. I love the heck out of the logo, and then getting that signed photo from my 2020 Dubai merch. Yeah. I was shocked that I got a signed photo, and it's this one. I kick myself for not getting this poster. I so bad wanted this poster.
Yeah.
When I looked at it at Rosemont, I was like, I don't need a poster.
I just like that it's got the logos and it's got the the 50th anniversary and the final 50 shows. I like that it's got that on there.
And that's also some of my favorite images of the band.
I like that. I like that one in your left hand. That's nice.
Oh yeah, this one right here, the shiny one.
Yeah,
Shiny one.
wasn't that like first generation or first?
This one's the second one, but yeah, it was the first iterations, and then they had this one, and then they had the New York one, which was more of a red, lightning one. That one was pretty cool.
Yeah.